Madam Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, today I have the privilege of introducing myself through a narrative of my life's journey, starting from Kenya, where I was born, to the United States. I hope by the time I'm done, you'll have a better understanding of who I am and how my life experiences, either learned or lived, make the person that I am today. I was born in Kenya. Kenya is on the east coast of Africa. It has diverse geographical features that include the Rift Valley, the Sahara Desert, as well as some of the tallest mountains in Africa. Kenya also has a very diverse population with about over 100 indigenous tribes and immigrants from all over the world. It was a former colony of the British, and so we have a great British influence, and also a lot of missionary influence because the missionaries were the predecessors of the British. So most Kenyans will be a mix of their tribal cultures, their British experiences, their religion, as well as some other foreign aspects depending on who or where they work. Let's try this. Do you think you know better than I? I think I'm not sure. Perfect, thank you. Is it this one?
Yeah, I think it's those.
Sorry about the technicalities. So I'm a product of my Embu tradition and culture, as well as a British influence, my religion, and some European cultures as well. My parents grew up in Embu. Embu is where the Embu tribe is located, which is around Mount Kenya. They migrated from Central Africa down to South Africa and later up into East Africa to settle eventually along the slopes of Mount Kenya. They're agricultural people, warriors, hunters, and gatherers. People say Embu people are very friendly, tolerant, but also very protective of their own. The women are known to be very hardworking. Growing up in Nairobi, I would visit my relatives in Embu and just live with them, learn from them. And so I learned how to cook Embu foods and appreciate how traditional cultures live together with nature and are sustained by nature. The British influence that I have in me comes from my education background. I went through British education system, the British began in Kenya, and so the British accent you hear from me, I blame the British for that. Let's talk about the tea and the table etiquette, which is supposed to be a good thing, but that also came from the British. Once in a while, I find myself driving on the left in America, which is not a good thing. All those influences are from the British. I also went to Catholic boarding schools. In high school, I went to a Catholic boarding school that was run by the Germans. They had an excellent academic system, but alongside that, they taught us self-discipline, respect, and tolerance. So sometimes that shows up in me. Later on in life, I would work for Dutch and Israeli companies, and that influence will show up in terms of when it comes to being entrepreneuring and pushing that extra negotiation that comes from that background. While in high school, I also played for the high school field hockey team. I actually became the best female player in high school when I was 18. And at 18, I was selected to play for the Kenya team in the All-African Games in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. And at 21, in the Junior World Cups in Spain, Barcelona. Later on, I came to the US and played for the Wildcats, but I was unable to join the US team because I was not a US citizen at that point. Being selected into a team like this requires a lot of stamina, determination, getting up and going, the go-getter, and sometimes the competitiveness in me shows up. Let's blame the field hockey for that. At 12, my parents would later move from Nairobi, where I was born, to a suburb of Nairobi called Limuru. This is where most of the tea is grown in Kenya. So if you've drunk British breakfast or Earl Grey, some of these blends are from Kenya. My parents started a floricultural business where we grew flowers for exports to Netherlands, and that includes growing, packaging, grading, preparing the plants, cut flowers for export, and actually exporting to the Aalsmeer Dutch market. An awesome place to visit if you ever can. That exposed me to international and global aspects that affect businesses at a local or international, and sort of played a role in my career today. Alongside that, we did keep some animals and grow vegetables, and I miss the mud when it comes to tilling and that kind of lifestyle. So in a way, I grew up a rural urbanite. I had one foot in the rural areas on the farm and the other in the city. And that vehicle you see there was one of the ways you connected between Limuru and Nairobi.
Snap Valley Metro.
Try to imagine that. It was a good way of keeping me in touch with the poverty levels, being aware of what's going on around me, as well as appreciating the various cultures in Kenya. So the international exposure that I grew up with, German, British, really opened up opportunities for me to do a degree, to take a degree in agricultural and resource economics. So I did my bachelor's degree at Egerton University in Kenya, and later came to do my master's at the University of Arizona. I was offered an assistantship, which was probably the only other way I could afford coming here at that point. After that I worked for the University of Arizona, and thank you, Finn, and did managed projects and research for the office that had to do with Arizona-Mexico relations, international trade, and macroeconomics. 12 years after that, I'm here now working for Maricopa Association of Governments, where I began working there in August last year. I also have a family. Right after graduating, I got married. I have a wonderful husband and 3 girls, Lulu, Nia, and Adele, that keep me very busy. I value family ties, and we spend a lot of time together. My family was able to immigrate from Kenya. My mom actually won the green card lottery, if you know what that is, and brought my dad and every sibling that was under 18. And only this year has she been able to finally get my older siblings to come over to the US after 10 years of waiting. My husband's family lives in Tucson and Elgin, and so we're always getting together and finding every reason we can to party. And so I hope that gives you an insight into my life, and there's a lot of detail there, but I'm looking forward to presenting the details later on during the Toastmaster sessions. Thank you.